Dear 10th standard students, I welcome you all to today's history division. As you know, in 10th standard social science, we have 10 lessons. In today's session, we shall discuss history chapter 1. As you know, India is a developing country. India got its independence in the year 1947. When we got our independence in the year 1947, India was an underdeveloped country. Why was India underdeveloped? Because of the British. British came to India and they exploited our resources, and naturally India became underdeveloped. In today's session, we shall discuss history first chapter, that is Advent of Europeans to India. What do you mean by Advent? Advent means arrival. Who came to India? British came to India. Not only the British, along with the British, French, Dutch, Portuguese. The Europeans who came to India, after the arrival of the Europeans, many incidents took place in India. Those points will be discussed in this session. Let us see what are the important points which you are going to discuss in this lesson. First one, the trade relationship between India and Europe. Second one, the fall of Constantinople, a new sea route to India, European trade companies, and the competition between English and French. These are the points which we are going to discuss now. Let us discuss these points one by one. First one, the trade relationship between India and Europe. As you know, India is our country, Europe is a continent. There were trade and commerce relationship between India and Europe since ancient times. We had good trade relationship with European countries. And Indian products, especially the spices like pepper, cardamom, ginger, and many other spices had a great demand in Europe. And this type of trade, the trade which prevailed between India and Europe, continued even during the Middle Ages. India is in which continent? India is in Asian continent. The trade relationship between India and Europe continued even during the Middle Ages. As we have already discussed, that trade relationship was there since ancient times. That kind of trade relationship continued even during the Middle Ages. During the Middle Ages, the Arab merchants, they carried Asian merchandise into Constantinople of Eastern Roman Empire. Eastern Roman Empire is also known as Byzantium Empire. Here Arab merchants had complete control over trade here, and Italian merchants, they had also a control over the trade. How? They buy these goods and they sell them in European countries. During the Middle Ages, Arab merchants and the Italian merchants played very important role. Constantinople was the main center of trade here. We have to remember the importance of Constantinople. What was the importance of Constantinople? Constantinople was considered as the gateway of European trade, because all the trades were carried through this Constantinople. In this way, Constantinople became the center of international trade. Here, in the beginning itself, I have told you that the Italian merchants and the Arab merchants, they had complete control over trade in Europe. Arab merchants had gained monopoly over trade in Asian countries. They had complete control over trade in Asian countries, and Italian traders, they had complete control over trade in Europe. In this way, Arab merchants and European merchants played a vital role here. In the year 1453, one of the important incidents took place in the history of the world. That incident was called the fall of Constantinople. We have already discussed that Constantinople was the main center of international trade. This Constantinople was captured by the Ottoman Turks in the year 1453. The trade and commerce between Asia and Europe was taking place through the city of Constantinople. In this way, Constantinople became the main center of trade. But in the year 1453, Constantinople was captured by the Ottoman Turks. When they captured Constantinople, all the trade routes connecting the city of Constantinople came under the control of Turks. When it came under the control of Turks, they levied heavy taxes on the goods passing through these routes. Passing through these routes means passing through Constantinople. Now they have control. That's why they imposed heavy taxes. In this way, trade became unprofitable for other traders, for other merchants like Europeans, Italians, Spain, Portugal. That's why Spain and Portugal, they were attempting to break the monopoly of Italian traders. Why did they attempt to break the monopoly of Italian traders? Because trade became unprofitable for them. Why trade became unprofitable? Because the Turks started levying too many taxes on the goods passing through these routes. Spain and Portugal, they started encouraging brave sailors to find a new sea route to India. They started encouraging sailors to find a new sea route to India. At the same time, the invention of compass, astrolabes and gunpowder helped in this adventure. So, another important reason to discover new sea route to India was the invention of compass, astrolabes and gunpowder. And finally, it was Vasco da Gama. Who was Vasco da Gama? Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor. He left Lisbon, finally reached Cape Padu near Calicut on the west coast of India in the year 1498. In this way, Vasco da Gama discovered new sea route to India in the year 1498, and he was the first person and he was successful in discovering a new sea route to India. He belonged to Portuguese. He was a Portuguese sailor. He started his journey from Lisbon and finally reached Cape Padu near Calicut. When Vasco da Gama discovered new sea route to India, this route continued to be the route of trade between India and Europe for many years. That means other Europeans, they came to India through these routes. That's why these routes continued to be the route of trade for several years, and the Portuguese were the first to re-establish trade between India and Europe. Why Portuguese? Because of Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama was a Portugal sailor. Due to Vasco da Gama, Portuguese were the first to re-establish trade between India and Europe. Here, after Portuguese, we can see many other European trade companies. They started arriving in India. First Portuguese, after that Dutch, French and English arrived in India for trade. Their main intention was trade, because trade was profitable. For them, trade was profitable. That's why they came to India. They arrived in India for trade, and when they came to India, this development not only changed the history of India, but also changed the history of European countries. Here you can see, first Portuguese came to India, it was Vasco da Gama. After Portuguese, Dutch, after that English, and at the end French came to India. These were the 4 European trade companies who came to India for trade. With the arrival of these trade companies, the history of India and the history of Europe completely changed. Now, we shall discuss these European countries, these trade companies one by one. First one, the Portuguese. Portuguese were the first to arrive in India for trade, and also they were the last to leave India by the sea route, because they came to India in the year 1498, they left India in the year 1961. In this way, they were the first to arrive India and also they were the last to leave India. Vasco da Gama came to India in the year 1498. Vasco da Gama was the first person to discover new sea route to India. After Vasco da Gama, it was Francisco de Almeida. He came to India as a viceroy. Francisco de Almeida was the first Portuguese viceroy in India, and he implemented, in the sense Francisco de Almeida implemented blue water policy. What do you mean by blue water policy? Blue water policy is a policy which was introduced in order to establish the supremacy over the sea instead of supremacy over land. The main intention of Francisco de Almeida was to establish supremacy over the sea. He did not want to establish any supremacy over land. It shows that he gave more importance to trade. He gave more importance to profit. After Francisco de Almeida, it was Alfonso de Albuquerque. Okay, you can see here, Alfonso de Albuquerque, he came as the second viceroy. Alfonso de Albuquerque was considered as the real founder of Portuguese Empire in India. He was considered as a real founder because he waged a war against the Sultan of Bijapur. During that time, Sultan of Bijapur was very powerful, but Alfonso de Albuquerque defeated Sultan of Bijapur in the year 1510 and he captured Goa. Who captured Goa? Alfonso de Albuquerque captured Goa. From whom? From the Sultan of Bijapur. When he captured Goa, he made Goa as the capital of the Portuguese. Portuguese had absolute monopoly over trade with India for almost a century, but their power declined with the arrival of English and French in India. Portuguese were not able to face the competition. They were not able to compete with the English. They were not able to compete with the French. That's why their power slowly declined. After Portuguese, it was Dutch. They came to India. Dutch, they are from Holland or Netherlands. The company people from Holland and or Netherlands were called Dutch here. And Dutch East India Company is also known as United East India Company. It was started in the year 1602. Its main aim was to do business with eastern countries. Eastern countries like India, Java, Sumatra and Indonesia, to do the business and to gain profit. For that purpose, Dutch East India Company or United East India Company was established in the year 1602. And they established their warehouses in many places of India. For example, Surat, Broch, Cambay, Cochin, Nagapattanam, Masulipatanam, Chinsura. These are all the trading centers or warehouses of the Dutch. Here in this map you can see these are all the important trading centers of the Dutch here. They were successful in establishing warehouses in these places, but with this they broke the monopoly of Portuguese in India. We have already discussed that with the arrival of Dutch, with the arrival of British, Portuguese were not able to compete with them. Here Dutch were very powerful and they broke the monopoly of Portuguese in India. Earlier, Portuguese were the only European countries which had complete control or monopoly over trade in India. But with the arrival of Dutch, Portuguese, the power or the monopoly of the Portuguese declined. Here, but Dutch, they were also not able to continue their trade in India because they were unable to face competition from the English. They were unable to face the competition from the French. That's why they limited themselves to Spice Islands in Indonesia. Third European countries, that is the English. When the English East India Company was started, English East India Company was started in the year 1600. On 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth, she was the queen during that time, she issued a royal charter authorizing the East India Company to trade with eastern countries for 15 years. She gave permission to the East India Company to trade with eastern countries for 15 years. With her permission, the East India Company started their business in the year 1613. It was founded in the year 1600, but it started its business in the year 1613. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir issued a royal permission to English to establish their first warehouse or factory at Surat. During that time, India was ruled by the Mughal kingdom, and Mughal ruler or the Mughal emperor was Jahangir. Jahangir gave a permission to English East India Company to start a trade. In this way, with the permission of Jahangir, they started their first factory at Surat. Here you can see Queen Elizabeth. In the year 1617, Sir Thomas Roe arrived at the court of Jahangir. Sir Thomas Roe came to the court of Jahangir as the royal ambassador from the court of James I. Sir Thomas Roe came to the court of Jahangir. Who was Sir Thomas Roe? He was the royal ambassador from the court of James I. Sir Thomas Roe sought permission from Jahangir to establish factories in other places of Mughal Empire. In the beginning, British East India Company started their trading center in Surat. After that, they started their trading centers in other places with the permission of Jahangir. Where they established their warehouses or trading centers? Agra, Ahmedabad, Broch. These were the places where they established their trading centers. In the year 1639, the English took Madras from the king of Chandragiri and established a strong fort named St. George Fort. Here you can see Madras also came under the control of the British. Later, Charles II, the Prince of England, gave Bombay on an annual rent of £10 to East India Company in 1668. That means Mumbai or Bombay also came under the control of British. Slowly, British were able to establish their trading centers in many places of India like Madras, Surat, Bombay. After that, in the year 1690, the English purchased 3 villages. What were those 3 villages? Sutanauti, Kalikata, Govindapura on the banks of Hooghly River, and built Fort William. That means with the help of these 3 villages, they built Fort William, and the city of Calcutta grew around this fort. In this way, Calcutta became an important centers of trade of the British here. By the 17th century, the English had established Bombay, Madras and Calcutta as the center of their presidencies. Slowly, Britishers were able to establish their control and they were able to make their presidencies, as Bombay, Madras and Calcutta were made as their presidencies. By the later part of 18th century, the English made Calcutta as their capital city. capital city of the Portuguese was Goa, and the capital city of the English was Calcutta here, and they implemented their own civil and criminal procedure codes in the areas that were under their control. After English, it was the French they came to India. French East India Company was a government owned company, whereas the British East India Company, it was a private company. British East India Company was started in the year 1600, but French East India Company was started in the year 1664. French, they started their first factory at Surat in the year 1668. After that, they established their factories in Machilipatnam, Chandranagur, Mahe, Karaikal, Kasim Bazar, Balasore. These were all the factories of the French here. In the year 1674, the French took Valikondapuram from a local Muslim official and developed it as a major trade center. Valikondapuram became a major trade center of the French, and later it came to be known as Puducherry or Pondicherry. The old name of the Puducherry or Pondicherry was Valikondapuram, and here Dupleix, who came to India in the 1746 in Pondicherry as the Governor General of the French, and he was a very ambitious person. He had ambition of establishing the French as a major power in South India. He wanted to establish the French power in South India, and his ambition finally led to the Carnatic Wars. Carnatic Wars were fought between the British and the French, and due to the what we call the ambitions of Dupleix led to the conflict or the war between the French and the British. Now we shall see the competition between the English and French. As you know, the Portuguese and the Dutch, they had to withdraw from India. Why they had to withdraw? Because they were not able to face the competition from French and English. By the 18th century, Portuguese and the Dutch, they had to withdraw. Finally, who became powerful in India? French and English, they became powerful in India. French and English, they started to establish their powerfulness. They started to establish their political supremacy over India. In this way, the competition between the English and the French are known as the Carnatic Wars. The best example for the competition between English and the French is the Carnatic War. Here we can see political instability arose in the regions of Hyderabad and Carnatic. What do you mean by Carnatic? Carnatic means eastern part of Tamil Nadu, and both the English and French tried to exploit the situation in their favor. That means the political situation which took place in Carnatic and the political situation which took place in Hyderabad were utilized by the English and the French for their favor. Finally, it led to three Carnatic Wars. Here we can see three Carnatic Wars. First Carnatic War 1746 to 1748. Second Carnatic War 1749 to 1754. Third Carnatic War 1756 to 1763. Now let us discuss first Carnatic War. Okay. First Carnatic War, which was fought in the year 1746 to 1748. It was fought between 1746 to 1748. What were the reasons? On the request of Dupleix, Labourdinas, who was Labourdinas? He was a French military leader from Mauritius, attacked Madras and captured it. Who captured Madras? Labourdina captured Madras. Why did he capture? Because Dupleix requested him. When Labourdina captured Madras, this made the British helpless. That's why British, they took the help of Anwaruddin. Who was Anwaruddin? Anwaruddin was the Nawab of Carnatic here, After that, the army sent by Anwaruddin failed to defeat the French at Madras. At the same time, Labordina took money from the English and returned Madras and went back to Mauritius. When he went back to Mauritius, who got angry? Dupleix got angry now. When Dupleix got angry, he attempted to take Madras. He also failed. Finally, the war, which war? First Carnatic War, came to an end by the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Second Carnatic War. Actually, what were the reasons for Second Carnatic War? The political situations which prevailed in Hyderabad was the main reason for the war. French made Salabat Jung, another son of Asabza, as the Nizam of Hyderabad. An officer named Bussi was stationed in Hyderabad for his protection by the French. In the Carnatic, Chanda Sahib had become the Nawab with the help of French. Robert Clive of East India Company, he attacked Arcot. Arcot was the capital city of Carnatic, and Robert Clive defeated Chanda Sahib. When Chanda Sahib was defeated, he was imprisoned, he was killed in the war. In the place of Chanda Sahib, the English named Muhammad Ali, the son of Anwaruddin, as the Nawab of Carnatic. The Second Carnatic War came to an end by the Treaty of Pondicherry. The French recalled Dupleix. This war brought laurels to English, while French suffered a political setback. Some sort of prestige to the British, but French suffered a severe political setback after the Second Carnatic War. Now let us move to Third Carnatic War. What were the reasons for Third Carnatic War? Count de Lally of the French attempted to besiege Vandivash in the year 1760. He wanted to capture Vandivash. In this decisive battle, which was fought in 1760, that battle was called the Battle of Vandivash. The Battle of Vandivash was the part of the Third Carnatic War. Sir Eyrecourt of the English army defeated the French and imprisoned Bussy. Count de Lally escaped and hid in Pondicherry. After that, Sir Eyrecourt attacked Pondicherry, and Count de Lally had to surrender unconditionally in the year 1761. By the end of Third Carnatic War, the French lost all their bases in India due to the Carnatic Wars. In spite of this, as per the Treaty of Paris, which was signed in the year 1763, Pondicherry was returned to French. But here we have to remember, with these developments, the French lost their importance in India. In this way, the English, by defeating all their rivals, started consolidating their power in southern India. Third Carnatic War led to the end of the French rule or French trade in India. Dear students, in this session, you have learnt the trade relationship between India and Europe, the fall of Constantinople, a new sea route to India, European trade companies, and the competition between English and French. In this lesson, many topics are to be learned. We shall discuss those points in next session. And now I am going to give you some questions relating to these topics. Are you ready to write this? Let us start. First main, complete the following blanks with suitable answers. First one, in 1453, the Ottoman Turks occupied dash. Second one, the sea route between India and Europe was discovered by dash. Third one, the capital of French in India was dash. Let us move to second main. Answer the following questions. How did trade take place between India and Europe during Middle Ages? Discuss the causes that resulted in the discovery of a new sea route to India. List the Europeans who came to India for trade. Dear students, you have to write the answer for all these questions. After writing the answer, you have to show it to your teachers. Dear students, till now we have discussed History Unit 1, Advent of Europeans to India. In next class, we shall discuss the second part of this lesson. Thank you.